So the next piece is just a little note about point location. Apparently there are like two ways of locating points on animals. The traditional Chinese way used species-specific points, which makes sense to me, actually. And then, there's another way of doing it, which is, I guess, sort of similar to kind of, TCM, standardized Chinese medicine, of transposing the human points onto the animal, which is problematic because they've got different bone structures and, horses have different number of vertebrae and, their legs are in a different configuration, and sometimes a fleshy point is located in a really bony area, and it doesn't feel right. When you're an acupuncturist who's used to working with humans, you get to, you probably don't even realize how conversant you become with a certain point and how it feels under your fingers and what change is possible when you activate that point. But when you go and locate that point on a map that's been given to you, because it's translocated, because it says, well, the liver channel's here and it crosses the spleen here, and so therefore this is liver 3, and it's located right on top of a tendon. It just doesn't, just by touching that, even through touch, you can feel that energetically the animal's not responding in the same way as if you hold liver 3 on a person. So you can get the traditional maps and kind of figure it out, but then if you've learned TCM, then you find it really hard to create a treatment strategy. So what I recommend is kind of doing, because you're keeping it simple, you're hopefully only going to be doing 2, 3, 4 points. So you choose the points that you're going to do, and then you run down that limb or across that part of the torso, wherever you are, and you know that you're in the ballpark according to what's underneath there. And then when you get to the spot, you kind of you trust your felt sense that, yep, here I'm at this point that feels like this point when I work with it on humans. And I think that's legitimate, because even on humans, point location isn't exact. I mean, it only is when you're doing point location class at school. But then when you're working with a real person in clinic, it's a physiologically, biologically, energetically active, reactive spot. So it changes, and some acupuncture points are the potential point itself is in the diameter of a 50-cent piece or more. And so you've got to use, I call it prawn fingers, like prawns are bottom feeders, and they use their, I don't know, they've got these tentacles or antennas or whatever they are, and they scoot around in the mud. They can't see anything, but they're feeling with electricity for their prey. And so you use your prawn fingers just to feel, I'm sinking into something, or, ooh, there's a change, there's just some kind of a change. I don't know, maybe people work differently, and this is why it's a bit hard to teach these kind of things that sound esoteric, but they're actually practical. But yes, basically, if you want to treat animals more and more, you might, and if you work kind of TCM style, you might want to build up a set of points. On cats, these are the there are the big points. These are the big points, that are going to cover a range of functions and indications, and this is where I locate them, and you just build up your own personal repertoire. I think that's probably the best way through that kind of conundrum, until you get a lot more experience with different animals of that one species and build up your knowledge bank. You might also find that, for example, spleen 4 is like a big point on cats, much more so than on humans, for example.